All right, we are live. We are here, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. And I'm here with my new friend and my buddy here, Russell. Oh, you know what? I didn't get your last name correct. I'm gonna make sure I get this. I'm gonna try it. Nohelty?
Close. It's Nohelty.
Nohelty. Okay. Okay. Good. Good. All right. So he is here today on the latest episode of the Authority Project, where you are the project, and we try to put authority to your name so you can sell more of what you're great at. And he's going to show us, he says, how to scale a creative business. Is that correct, Russell?
It is, although I do take exception with the word scale. Like, I think that most people are scaling too quickly or starting businesses that just won't scale to the level that most people say they can scale your business to on your Facebook feed. So if anyone in the entrepreneurship space who's even clicked on anything related to entrepreneurship will have gotten the ads that are like, scale your business in like 30 days, or like get 1 million subscribers in like a week, or like 3 days to like having 78 million people on your Facebook feed, right? Like we've all gotten those, right?
Right.
And so I take exception with that, because most creative businesses will not scale. In fact, most businesses will not scale to a level that they are talking about, which is like millions upon millions of dollars. So I do talk about scale, but I talk more about the 1,000 True Fans. Do you know Kevin Kelly's 1,000 True Fans?
Yep, I do. All
right.
So we're gonna get into it. Well, let me hit my intro music, and he's already said so much already in like 1 minute, so this is great. But here we go. We're gonna get started here with Russell. We're gonna continue this right now on this episode of the Authority Project. Here we go. All right, so let's continue with that. I love the energy already, Russell. So continue with the 1,000 True Fans. Go ahead. Continue with that.
All right. So I think that scale is best done when you think about the total number, like basically the total number that you're going to make, that you want to make to be happy. And now, knowing that the average business makes $40,000 of revenue in this country, revenue, not profit, and knowing that's not enough. I say that most businesses, even in any niche, can scale to about low six figures, $150,000 to $200,000, which is for most people going to be a pretty good living, especially if you have a good profit margin. So there are some businesses that you can just throw money in, and they will make you more money. For instance, if you're doing one-on-one coaching, you can throw in a lot of money to get one client. But for me, I make books. Like I'm an author. You just can't throw in unlimited amount of money, and the process is a lot of physical goods, and it's a lot of meticulous work. A lot of my friends are artists. They're painters. So like each painting that they do takes a lot of time. They just can't they can't throw in $400 to make $500, because it's just not feasible for them to do that. So I like to think of the 1,000 True Fans of Kevin Kelly as the $100,000. If you can find 100 people, that'll give you $100 a year. That's $100,000. And I think almost every business that I've ever come across can get to that level. Whether you can get to 7 figures or 8 figures or 12 figures is a whole different matter. And you can see as the monetary number goes up, it gets harder and harder and harder, because there's less and less people playing at that level. So the first thing that you have to know about scaling a business, a creative business or any business, is that the thing that they tell you to do, scale, comes from knowing your audience so well that you can predict what they're going to do. Now, the number one question that I get, whether it's a creative business or a regular business, because I also own a Verizon dealership, like I also own a training academy and a marketing agency. Like, I don't only have creative businesses, I have a lot of businesses. And across the board, people ask me, what should I be making for my audience? That's the number one question I get. And my response is always the same. If you're asking me that question, you do not know your audience well enough to go to the next step.
Okay.
So I very much believe in scaling is only possible when you do the unscalable. So that means actually finding your audience where they are and like building slowly at first, build slow at first to go fast. So everyone's kind of talked about, knows usually about what an ideal client avatar or like perfect customer or whatever the name is, right?
Right.
Right. So I believe that everyone who talks about this is doing it wrong.
Okay.
What they do is they talk about the demographic information. So these are the name, the age, the race, the location, the education level,
Right.
the demographic information.
Exactly.
That is so easy to find in baseline that like I say don't even worry about that. That is all stuff that can come. But most businesses have customers that are very that vary across ages, vary across religion, vary across all sorts of stuff.
Right.
But what they do have is the psychographic information. Now, the psychographic information is the thing deep down in their soul that sort of makes them who they are. So if you can see behind me, there's a painting of Melissa the Wannabe, who is our mascot. And Melissa resembles everything good about a wannabe. Our fans are the wannabes. And you can see that is a yellow bee. It is not representative of gender, race, or anything. Her name is Melissa, just because like Melissa means honeybee in Greek. And so we were like, that makes complete sense.
Okay.
So that bee is spunky and rebellious and like loves to laugh at like really inappropriate stuff. And she's like anti-authority. She like goes her own way. She's practical, no BS. Like there's all these things that make a good wannabe. And those are the things that transcend race and age and gender and nationality, but they go to the core of who you are. I say that Melissa, when she was younger, would sneak out to punk clubs, and that is an experience that goes across everywhere in the world. There are people that are escaping out to clubs and like getting tattoos before their parents say they should and stuff, right?
Right.
All right. So the number one step, and to go back to the Kevin Kelly thing, I have the steps are one true fan, 10 true fans, 100 true fans, and 1,000 true fans is how I broke this up. Okay. Right. So to find your first true fan, you need to find somebody that likes you, but not enough to lie to you. So what do I mean by that? The best example I have is I'm almost 20 years removed from high school. And when I was starting doing this, there were people in my Facebook feed who I had not talked to since high school, but were still reaching out and like responding to messages and commenting. And I was like, we haven't talked in 7 years. Why are you doing this? And almost everyone that I've ever talked to has someone that they can think of that's like, they're not close friends, they're not family, they really have no business being on your Facebook feed, but like for some reason they are hyper engaged with the things that you talk about. Do you have someone like that in your mind, Brian?
Yeah.
All
absolutely.
right. So now if you have customers already, then you can go into your customer data and find the person who's bought the most and like is most engaged. But I like to pretend like you've never sold anything before. And so it's a little bit different if you have a customer base already. You're just going to, instead of going and reaching out to that person who's on your Facebook feed and asking for an interview, you're going to go into your customer data, look at who has spent the most on your stuff over the longest amount of time, and start interviewing that first person. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Okay. So when I say interview, I don't mean send a survey. I mean actually get on the phone and ask them a bunch of questions. So mainly you're trying to find out what it is about you that resonates with them.
Okay.
Why do they like your brand? What is it about you personally that they respect and like? Is it that you're always on time? Is you always speak the truth? That you always like are very elegant? Is it that you're always like very inspirational or motivational or whatever it is? You need to really dig deep, and this is very hard, especially for someone who doesn't like to have this spotlight shown on them, but it's really, really important if you're going to scale. If you don't get this stuff right, there's no hope for you. I can tell you that I have a Twitter account that has 30,000 people almost on it that is completely useless to me because I just scaled. I just thought numbers were good and I didn't take the time to do that. And there's so many people who spend tens of thousands of dollars getting like buying a list or just getting anyone on their email list. And like, that's not what we want. We want the right people, right?
Exactly.
All right. So it's really, and you want to also find out like the brands that they like, the books that they read, the other people in your space that they respect and they rely on. But most importantly, you want to make sure that the thing you are resonating out with people is the thing that you want to be resonating out with people. A lot of people think they are easily approachable, and people will tell them they are not easily approachable, or they will think that their brand is sunshine and rainbows, and people like, I really like it because like, you know, me and you have the same taste in death metal, and you're like, what? That's not the thing that I want to say. So you want to make sure two things, that you are resonating with the same message as you're putting out, like you want to put out the message that you are putting out, and that then that person is resonating with the thing that you're trying to say. And okay, so that's one. So now you've got one person. How do you think we go from 1 to 10?
Tell me.
9 more times. You do it 9 more times. So now this doesn't have to be 10. Like it can be 7. It might be 13. What you're trying to get to is a group of people that you are confident all are sort of giving you the right data and information. Because the first person is going to say some stuff, and if you just take the first person's advice, like you're going to be going on the wrong direction because like they're 90% wrong. But if you talk to 10 people and they all are giving you 3 or 5 of the same answers, then like you can bet that that's much more robust. Right. And the nice thing about, and then this is where you move to step 2, which is you have 10 people. This is where one of two things is going to happen. So let's say you are an author and you want to make a book. Well, a book is roughly $20. And so I like to use $20 as my pre-validation strategy. So pre-validation means that you take something and you're going to try and sell it to people who already know, like, and trust you, to make sure that you know what they want. They've already told you what they want. They've said, this is what I like about you. You've kind of talked a little bit about what your idea is. You've compared it to the other books or projects that are out there and been like, yeah, I think this is like good. I feel good about this. Now a book is $20, and I like to use $20 because $20 is enough that you just don't give $20 to anybody, but like you blow through $20 on anything you like. Like we spend $20 bills like it's candy. In America, right? Like if it's $20, it's like that's a ticket to the movies. That's like a not even a nice dinner, just like a decent dinner for 2 people. Right. So like $20 isn't like a big hurdle to go over, but it's not $5. Like I will give you $5 just to go away, but I'm not going to give you $20 to just go away. Gotcha. So it and it's not $100 either. So you want to get something where someone will, if they like the thing, will easily give it to you, and price will not be an objective. Sorry, an objection. Right. But you don't want to go too expensive so that someone will be cut out because of price. So $20 is like a good number, I think. And if you're writing a book, well, $20 is right in that sweet spot. But if you're creating like a bicycle, if that's the thing you want to create, and it's like a $400 product, then what you're going to want to do is take a piece of that. Like I like to say, like a kickstand, or like a something you can make for like $20, and a piece of that, and that becomes the beginning of your strategy. And you want to then take that, and because these people that are already in your group know, like, and trust you already, you don't have to like do the big landing pages or anything. You can just create a PayPal link and be like, hey, we talked about this thing, it's live. And you should be able to convert at least 8 of 10 of those people if you've literally selected them as people who are going to be in your perfect audience. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people get freaked out when I say 8 people out of 10. So at least 5 people out of 10. And here's why it's so important to make sure that I like 8, at least 8, because people will say that they want something, but they don't actually mean that. And you don't want to get too far down the road of this product before before you learn how to decipher what somebody says and what they actually mean. And that requires some finesse of listening to your audience and being like, oh, you said you wanted this kind of thing. Did you really mean this? And like having those conversations when you have a very minor product or a thing that is not fully developed yet means that you're going to get the messaging right. And you're going to learn what your audience really means with what they say. Because too many times people do this part, but they don't actually force someone to buy something at the beginning. And so they're like, my audience says they want a 10-book series. So here's a 10-book series, or they really want, and now they're spending hundreds of hours on this piece. And they're like, no one buys. And it's because they didn't actually they didn't learn how to decipher what somebody means versus what they actually say. And so this exercise, which is step 2, really, step 2A maybe, is getting you to understand the messaging that it will take to get these people to buy. And you're going to have to usually go back a couple of times and be like, did you really mean this? 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 But once you have the messaging, and sometimes it might be the product, but sometimes it might be that you're not talking about it right. And you'll be like, well, why didn't you buy this product? This is what you said you liked. And then the person in your audience will say, yeah, I really wanted X, Y, and Z. And then maybe you'll say, but it has X, Y, and Z. Oh, I need to make that clear. So what you're really trying to do is make the product solid and get the messaging solid, because the next step after 10 is 100. And getting from 10 to 100 means finding people who don't know you, don't know who you are.
Yeah.
And to do that, you need to find a repeatable process to get someone from not knowing you to liking you, trusting you, and then buying from you, and then buying from you again. And you're going to do that by having a product that is killer that people want to buy.
Yeah.
So like if those people who already know you aren't willing to buy it, like someone who doesn't know you doesn't want to buy it either. So you got to get those people to want to buy it. And it might mean finding other people in this 10, or might mean switching the price. There's all sorts of things. But once you've got 8 of 10 people buying it and you've got the messaging right, now you can sort of set up your funnel. And so funnel is a fancy word of saying like the process by which someone will buy from you. Yeah. So getting somebody from not knowing you to buying from you, that could mean a email sequence, email autoresponder sequence. It could mean it could mean a landing page and then a buy page. It could mean running Facebook ads. There's all sorts of things that it could mean. But the goal of this stage is you're going to take the product. You have the product, audience, and now you have a profit. And those are the 3 steps you need to have a business. You need a product, an audience for that product, and then a profit margin. And then you take the profit and you funnel that into marketing. So the profit that you made on whatever that product is you're selling, that becomes where you're going to put together a website. Maybe you'll get some imagery made. You'll do something so that it looks slick to someone that doesn't know you. To someone that knows you, you don't have to be slick. You just have to they have to trust you. But now you got to be somewhat slick so it doesn't look like garbage when you get your when you get to the site. I don't think that means Facebook ads yet, because you don't have your system down. You want your system down real well before you start throwing Facebook ads, because once Facebook ads start going, they spend money really quickly. Like you would spend a lot of money in advertising, and if your system is not optimized, it's just going to break down. You're going to waste a whole lot of money. So how you go from 10 to 100 then is you're sort of going to these brands, going to these places that the audience told you that they hung out, interacting with those people, becoming part of the community, rehoning your message, and kind of picking people off one at a time. Maybe it's going onto podcasts. Maybe it's going into people's Facebook groups. Whatever. Maybe it's like doing live streams on your own thing. But you're slowly trying to get people and saying, "Oh, that's funny. I talked to Mary for 20 minutes, and then I sent her through this funnel, and she didn't buy. I wonder why." So now you're sort of developing your process and your tone and your language. And then once you get to 100, and again, This might not be 100. It might be 47. It might be 128. It might be 300. I don't know how many people this is. It's different for everybody, but it's a system it's a way at which someone who doesn't know you becomes a raving fan of your work. And then once you have the 100, that is when you start to actually like, now I'm going to really launch this thing. So the 10 to 100 might be your beta. I don't like using the words like beta and alpha and all these things because then people just tune out. But like the 11 to 100 is sort of the beta phase where you're trying to test out all the messaging, making sure it's something that people really want and getting people excited for it. Once you hit 100, then you're really like, okay, I've got 100 people that are going to buy this thing, that have bought this thing, and now it's time to launch. And that's when you can use. I use Kickstarter a lot. You can use affiliate links. You can use like friends. You can make partnerships with people. You can do Facebook ads. But now you've got 100 people through this funnel. It's time to launch and hopefully bring in at least another 100 and like go live officially. And once you go live officially, and you've got hopefully your 200 people, that is, and now you've spent very little money.
Okay.
But you have a process by which you can run ads, which is the only real way to scale effectively, is to at some point bring advertising into your ecosystem, because you can only do so many launches, you can only go on so many podcasts, you can only grow so fast, and advertising helps with that, helps you get to the next level much more quickly than you could alone. But people are using advertising way too fast, Brian. Using it way too fast. They're building audiences that are all wrong. They're wasting tens of thousands of dollars. And if they just took more time to go through the process that I just lined up, then they would know by the time they got to the real launch, without spending much money, that they were on the right track.
Wow. That sounds great. I mean, that's perfect. But see, here's the challenge. I think with a lot of people, I'm sure you've already heard this already. Like, it feels perfect what you're saying, but it does seem like a grind. There might be some fear of asking people of doing these things. How do you get to the point where you want to get to the point where you're keeping people on this path and not having the we call it the temptation of going too fast with advertising, because they just want to roll it out so quickly? How do you get to that point? Yeah.
So I would ask them. So I ask them a couple of questions. The first is like, do you know who your person is? Like, do you know exactly what to make for them?
Yeah.
Like exactly what to make for them. And if they say yes, then I say, awesome. Do you know exactly how to message to them? Like exactly how to message to them to make it most effective, so you're not going to be wasting money? And 3, do you have enough people that you can create a standard distribution bell curve and make sure that you're not just dealing with a small fat fraction, but once you hit scale, it's not going to actually scale? And you said all these things, but the base question is like, it sounds like a grind. I'm like, business is a grind, man. Like, this is what it is. Like I have been doing this for a decade, and still most of my days are spent being on podcasts, trying to pick up a person at a time, trying new marketing strategies, like trying new books and products. And like, I'm still going back to my people and being like, is this good? Is this good? Like, I'm still having bad launches and good launches, and all this stuff is just, it's a grind. Like it's such a, this idea that a lot of teacher entrepreneurs make, that's like, oh man, like, just like be on Easy Street, or just like, do this thing or that thing, or like, all you have to do are these 4 steps and like, you'll be able to scale this forever, is like an absolute lie. And yes, it becomes easier once you've done something to then redo it. And here's what else I would say, which just popped into my head now, which I'm going to start using now after I tell you about it, is once you go through this process with that product, you never have to do it again, really. Like, it's like, okay, I know the people, I know where I'm going, I know this thing launched, I know if I put Facebook ads into it, it's going to keep going. And so you're putting a lot of time up front but you're not spending that time every single time you launch. Now, you might not have a good launch on that first time, and you may have to change your product a little bit still. And like, then you have to go through that process a little bit again, but not as hard as the first time. Remember, we're talking about building something from scratch, as if you have nothing. And to go from something to nothing to something is incredibly hard. Once the ball is rolling, then it becomes a little bit easier. And you're like, oh, now I've got an audience. Okay, well, like, what else can I give them? Oh, I can give them this other thing. Oh, cool. I can give them this thing. I could do another version of this book. I can iterate on this product I already have. I could just launch it again because most people did not the right, did not see it the first time. So there's all sorts of things you can get to once you have that momentum going, but we're literally going from nothing to something. And that is so hard.
Yeah, it is. It is. I know this is a crazy question. I'm just going after it because you started at first talking about your I'm not sure if it's hate is a bad word, but your offense to the advertisement saying that everything is so easy in 30 days, 60 days, the kind of thing, which I don't like either, about saying how things can be done so quickly. How does one combat that in their mindset? Because you have the people who say it is a grind, but then you have these other people out here saying, hey, these results can be happening in the next 30 days, 60 days. How do you deal with people who come to you with that type of mindset?
I'm honestly, I don't know if I can combat that part because I will say that though that is possible, it is possible. But even when you go to these people's webinars, because like those links always go to a webinar or something, right? And in their webinar, they always have the slide. If you've ever been on these, they have a slide that says, these results are not typical.
Right.
These are my results, but it does not mean it will transfer to you.
Results may vary.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, if they were confident in their thing, they would not have to say that. They say it because they know that most people are not going to get there.
Yeah.
They're not going to get there quickly. And I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, and most of them, what happens is the people that actually can get there in that 60 days are the people that actually have done almost all the work. So they're pushing against this one lever and like literally unlocking this and like moving this over here. And like, then literally because they built up the floodgates, they break through, and then they tout it as their success. Look at this guy just went from zero to like $10,000 a month. And you're like, yeah, but like he had a speaking business for 10 years and he's got tons of coaching clients. And of course he made a course and in a month he sold 10,000 things. Like it always, when you dig down, there's always like an underlying, it helped. Like it pulled that guy to the next level or that woman to the next level that they wouldn't have gotten to. But it wasn't like they took somebody from literally never selling something to like $1 million business. What they do is they take people from 6-figure businesses to 7-figure businesses, and they take people from 5-figure businesses to 6-figure businesses. But these things take time and effort and energy. And what those things are very good at is when someone has put tons of energy into one place, but they're stuck at a door. Those programs are really good at opening that door and releasing that kinetic energy to the next level. What I am very good at is building from nothing, and building from nothing, it takes time. Now, I say that, but like it is possible to white label something or like become an Amazon reseller, or like there's always something you could theoretically do in the next 60 days.
There's always an exception.
Right. Like, and so I sit down with a lot of people and I say, look, are you willing to sell anything? Like literally anything? Like, do you care what you sell? Because like, if you don't care what you sell, I can show you several ways to make a good living very quickly. Like you could go learn Facebook ads. You could build an ad agency.
Yeah.
Like generally those companies can scale very quickly. Like they can't scale very quickly. They can start getting customers very quickly.
Right.
The problem is most people care very deeply about what they sell.
Yeah.
And when you care very deeply about what you sell and you have a vision for where it's going to go to, the vision will prevent you from moving forward as fast as someone who's just like, look, hey, I just bought a bicycle dealership and like it was very cheap and like it's profitable already. And I'm like, okay, like I don't care about bicycles. Like I care about books. And
Right.
and so it one thing that those sort of companies don't ever talk about is that, yeah, when you are dispassionate about the thing you sell or the person you sell it to. So there is a demographic in this country that is considerably conservative, considerably white, and considerably male, that has very specific political views, and they also have the lion's share of all of the money in this country. And if you were to sell to those people and make that your brand, there's also a much different kind of return you can expect.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these advertising, the wordings are sort of like pick the customer that has the money, like how to stop getting broke customers.
Right.
And like
Right.
like broke customers are the ones I want to help, because like they're the ones that need the help the most.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is like, don't focus on those people who need the help the most. Focus on the people who like are already making the money and like already control the means of production. And like that is a good avenue to go down. But that's a good avenue to go down if you do not care about the people you serve. Now, there's nothing wrong with serving those people. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but I'm saying like, if you care about what you make and you care about what who you make it for, and that thing and that person do not line up with the people that have money or the things that make money or the kinds of person that already has the money to burn, then it's going to take longer to do. And you have to be okay with that. For instance, I have several projects that I know make money. I just know if I like launch another Cthulhu is Hard to Spell book, it's printing money. But I've got a lot of other books that like don't print money. And I have to know going in that like those are going to be harder slogs. I'm going to have to put in more money and get less return. So I have to care about those products even more than the ones that will make money. So even in doing a thing that you love, you have to understand that like different markets are different. And I've got writer friends who will literally just go to Amazon, look at whatever's in the top 100 and be like, mermaids are selling this month. I'm writing a mermaid book. It's demons this month. And like they will literally just hop from trend to trend to trend to trend to trend, and they will go as fast as humanly possible. And like they make a grip of money. And like if you can be that person, awesome. Like you're gonna do better. But if most writers that I know care very deeply about what they want to write, even if it is not the thing that is popular now.
Right. And that's the essence of a true creative, to love what you do. Any true artist to love what they do, to care about what they do, and is important. Even any musician wants to make music how they want to do it, right? So
but like let's look. There used to be a food kitchen right on at the end of my block that serviced our neighborhood. My neighborhood I live in is a very low income neighborhood, and like it is, and like that food kitchen was only ever going to be so popular. Like it could only be so, like there was only so much money for that food kitchen. It was not a huge food kitchen. Like it was not. And so even in any entrepreneurship, across the street, there was like a tattoo parlor. There was a little like bodega, these things like can only scale so much, but we spend so much and we spend so much time being like, I'm going to scale and be the next Stephen King. But like, You probably aren't, but you could be the next, like, I don't know, Steven Johnson, the guy who like makes 6 figures making books or 5 figures writing books that like they really care about.
Still have a great lifestyle. We're doing
right.
that.
I mean, most people, there's only so much room at the very top, and like you might get there, but I think that one of the problems in America is that we're all like displaced millionaires, right? Like we're all the guy, like we're just like that one thing away from being like a millionaire. But we're really much more likely to be one step away from homeless than one step away from being a millionaire. But people have this idea that, that if it's not going to this massive goal, then it's not worth going to. And that makes them divert their attention, and that makes them divert their like thing to these like shiny objects where like, well, I guess I'm just going to make like big diamond rings for like rich Hollywood socialites. And you're like, well, do you want to do that? And they're like, not really. I'm like, well, like, why are you doing it? Like, if you're going to do a thing you don't want to do, you might as well like go and just get a job.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm not saying there's not money. I'm not saying you can't scale to 7 figures. What I am saying is that it's much easier to make a lifestyle business that will work for you. And like, you actually get to do the thing that you love. And like, I believe that anyone could find like a way to make low 6 figures a year and make like $100,000 in profit on their company, or like $50,000 in profit on their company out of like $150,000, and literally spend all of their time just doing what they love. Awesome. And there are all sorts of ways to do that, but but you definitely have to know your audiences first. And even if you're going to scale to 7 figures, you need to know who your audience is so that you can predict what they're going to make and what they're going to like. Like you have to know them so well that when you read a book, or when you like are looking at swatch patterns, you don't have to go back to them and be like, hey, which one of these 5 swatches do you like for my next like mosaic? You just say, yeah, they're gonna like that one, and that one, and that one, and like that makes you so much more productive and confident in your work. And instead of sitting there going like, I don't make any money, like no one likes my work, you have that confidence inside of you to like take it to the next step. And you don't have to make like even 6 figures to do that. You just have to have an audience that that you can start that you can grow with.
Awesome. I got one final. This is incredible stuff. By the way, first of all, I got one final question for you. And this might be, I think something that really blocks a lot of people, and maybe it's blocked me at times too, where they're tied so much to their product, to their baby, whereas they don't want to do anything else besides this one product, this one offer, and it's not being received well, but they're still going to try to push this offer because you have all these motivational videos coming out. You're motivated, you're inspired. I'm going to do it regardless. It's going to happen. It's happening, but you're getting this feedback and it's saying this isn't it. How do you answer those people who are tied so religiously to one product where they don't, and they feel like this is what their passion is, possibly, but they can't go any further than that?
Sure. So hopefully by going through the process we just talked about, you wouldn't get there. Yeah. But if you are at that place, it's often because you spent so much time, money, and effort on it. And that's when I would say a business is about an audience and a product. But no product is exactly what I want to make. It is what I want to make mixed with what the audience wants, and then swirled together with my special concoction of like how I put things together on it. And so if you are making something without the audience in mind, my question is, do you want to impact the most lives possible? Yeah. And if they usually say yes. I don't bring money into it at all. I don't say, do you want to make the most money? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? I go back to the product and I say, this is nice, but like it's not blowing me away, and like it's good, but it's not the messaging that the messaging isn't speaking to anybody, because 90% of the time the product is like a flat cardboard like sheet that's a nothing. And like, and your goal is to infuse yourself into it in a way that inspires, transforms, and motivates the person who's watching it, the right person who's watching it. Because there's going to be a lot of wrong people who are watching it or reading it. But you have to know that the person, like, if your goal is to change someone's life, like transform somebody, and I believe that a book or a painting or a course or an awesome like car design could like literally like change somebody's life. But you have to have the messaging, and you have to put it together in a way that is willing to change somebody's life. Like, you know, like this, I have a bag of dog treats next to me, and like it changed my life because like my dog like listens to me more with these like treats. But like that's a silly thing to like think about in that way. But like this brand, you know, put a lot of thought into that thing. And like, yes, they're making dog treats, but like they made it in a specific way that resonated with me and my dog. And it's important that when you're putting something together, it resonates not just with you, but with the person, because creativity is the emotional resonance between you and the person who's reading your work. Like that is the true beauty of being a creative human, is that you get to put something else out in the world, and somebody else gets to take it and resonate with it until like you both, even if you're thousands of miles apart, are speaking the same language. And that's the beauty of creativity. And if you're putting stuff out there and people are just treating it like a wet sock, then like you've missed the boat, because the boat is that both of them work in tandem. And so I'm not saying you shouldn't put out that one product. But I'm saying is it needs to be redesigned, because it's not working. And it usually is not the product itself. It's usually the messaging or the marketing, or just like them not understanding like the breakthrough that the person needs to make.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Incredible stuff. Incredible stuff, Russell. I wish I had one more question. Maybe, let me see. Let's see if I can get one more question out of you on this one. Okay, yeah, just tuned into creators, because I have people that I know who are creators, or artists, writers, that kind of thing. When they're right now, they're in this place where they're doing very well doing their gigs. You know, they have their seasons where this is a good time for me to do my gigs, whatever that is, whether it was writing or artist. You know, I do events. This is a great time for me. But then something like this happens, the epidemic, the pandemic comes along, and then it kind of wipes out those events. It wipes out their seasons of income. How do you help those kind of people who are still looking to looking for the income that they pretty much depended on for certain seasons, and finding other opportunities to, sell their gift, if for lack of a better phrase? I
mean, I wish that I had the answer to that, because then I would be doing a lot better right now. I think that, creatives are very resilient. They tend to have jobs that are not like, they have usually 5 or 6 or 8 or 15 things that they do, and they cobble together a life from that. I have courses and marketing, and I have a Verizon dealership, and I write books, and I edit books, and I publish books, and like there's all sorts of stuff that I do. And so I would say like you probably are gonna have to fall back on something that like is a little more may not be your zone of genius for a minute. But you also should be spending this time creating the most important thing that you can do. So it's funny because creators downplay the importance of creating stuff, but because it doesn't bring in money like right now. But the stockpiling of stuff is how you make money in the future. The stuff is what you're making money on. So like if you can't sell something, then try to make something so that when you come back, you can come back with with a lot more ammo to like make sales.
Right.
A lot of my creator friends are literally like just turtling right now and being like, I got to get my expenses to the bone. I got to like and I got to figure out the next step. And, I'm not a religious man, but I do know that, that the Bible says, there are seasons to reap and seasons to sow.
Yeah.
And, my friend, this is a season to sow. If you thought you were going to reap, like this is a season to sow and sow and sow and sow and sow. And the more you can sow, the more you can reap later. And my whole career has been a sort of balance between sowing and reaping. And the more that I sow, the more I can reap later. And the more and so it's been an ever changing sort of stockpile. And now everything that I stockpile is just like more ammo that I have next time I can reap. So, I mean, I know that's really hard to hear when like you're making no money. But it is, we need to remember that if we don't make the things, we can't sell the things. And so even though we're not actually making anything now, like we're not selling anything now, by just the process of making it, it allows us to have another quiver in our arrow later. One thing that I did that was really great is I did a little virtual convention using StreamYard just for my fans called WannaCon. You can go to wannacon.com and sort of see the replay of it. It was me and a bunch of creators. And, I sold some of my stuff on it. We had a Kickstarter going at the time, find different ways I've been on 100 podcasts since the really lockdown started. And so I've been just like trying to get out there in different ways. Yeah. Find ways to partner with friends that you have, explore venues, and also learn. This is a great time to like go out there and take those courses that you wanted to take to get into doing Facebook ads or Google ads or Etsy ads or like whatever thing is, and like really learn that platform and like get out there and build the mailing list and start being able to do it online. I was very lucky where I'm running 4 Kickstarters this year online. But even though my in-person business has collapsed, I still have been able to raise over $50,000 on Kickstarter for my projects, even while the other part was going down. Now I should have been at like probably $20,000 or more in money right now because like the shows all got canceled. But at least I was able to like move online because I'd been building those pieces together. Right. I in 2010 during 2008 during the first financial collapse of my lifetime, I made my first book, Ichabod Jones Monster Hunter. My second one, Katrina Hates the Dead. I kind of like eked out all of my savings until it started to recover, and that is when I sort of went hard. And literally the ability to make all of those projects while I was like not making any money is what allowed me to catapult forward for the next 10 years of my life. And so this could be like the next 10 years of your life if you do it right.
Awesome. I love it, man. That's incredible stuff, man. It's so crazy because you have a whole list, and I know I saw your one sheet there, but you have a whole list of expertise that we can just dive into all day, basically. But I appreciate everything that you said today. Just incredible stuff. Do you have any last words of wisdom before we go? And well, actually, you know what? Give us some last words of wisdom first. Give us some last words.
Sure. So first bit of wisdom is my website is actually 2 S's, 2 L's, Nohelty.com, not 1 L. So if you go to RussellNohelty.com, it's not going to take you to the place you need to go. But this is the most important thing I've ever learned as a career, as a business human. There it is. That's right. As a business human, you have to find a way to extricate your self-worth from your success or failure. I went through a place last year where I was suicidal because I had a bunch of bad launches. And as entrepreneurs, basically by definition, we're like the ugly, the redheaded stepchild. though I love Redhead Stepchild, like they're my favorites. But like for most people, for like traditionally, we are the people that had jobs and said, this is not the way to do it. I'm going to do it a different way. And people told us, no, don't just toe the company line, do this, that, and the other thing. So we're already like people that are outside of a system, and like people already telling us no already. So when we start having success, it is very tempting to tack on that success and be like, see, I do have self-worth. See, I am valuable. The problem is that you get to a stage and maybe 40 levels above or 80 levels above, whatever it is on your trip from 1 to 100, where you stall. It may be forever. It may just be for a moment. And you actually start backsliding. And you would think that if you went from 0 to 90 and then went down to 80, you'd be like, hey, I'm at 80. But that's not how it works, because we stabilize at the level that we are. And so 90 becomes the new norm. And when we tack down to 80, it feels like losing 10. And we're like, so if we tie our self-worth to our success, we tie it to the failure as well. So the thing that I always tell myself is, I am a person who is succeeding now. Person who, instead of success or failure. Because I'm also a person who has 3 dogs. I'm also a person who drinks water. I'm also a person who is a husband and a brother and a son. And all of those pieces of my identity work together. And if I pull any one of them out, I am still a complete human. And so it's really, really, really important. And it's very hard work. I'm not saying it's easy to understand that you have intrinsic value just for existing. And that if you can just start saying, wow, I'm a person like, wow, Russell really like screwed up today, or like Russell really failed today. Like it sounds weird, but instead of saying like, I'm such a failure, just say, wow, that thing really didn't work. Or like start trying to separate yourself from the word failure or success. And you will just lead a much happier, more balanced life.
I love it. I love it, man. So incredible. I have no words for what you get for all this information today. Please tell us where people can find you so they can connect with you further.
Sure. So Russell Nohelty is a good hub. It's where you can find my writing work. If you are a creative yourself, then I have a website called thecompletecreative.com that has my podcast, my blog archives, and a whole bunch of other free and paid courses. It's sort of everything I do on russellnohelty.com or Wannabe Press, I teach during The Complete Creative. So it's really good. They really work together, those two sites, russellnohelty.com and thecompletecreative.com.
Awesome. Awesome, man. I appreciate it. Incredible value. It's like, you have no idea. I had a bunch of questions on it. I think I may have gotten through like one question because you already answered them all already. So amazing stuff. Glad you're on here. Glad you connected with me. This was incredible stuff. I have no words.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, unbelievable. So just connect with this guy, follow this guy, whatever you got to do. Real talk. That's what people need right now. Real talk business, because a lot of it could be fluffier than you think. And that's where the frustration comes in. But not you, because you're the project and you're going to put authority to your name the right way, doing it the right way, exactly how he put it to us today. So that is it for today. I hope you get to the next episode. Still get to this, still replay this a little bit before you get to the next episode of the Authority Project.